Former UFC featherweight and lightweight champion Conor McGregor was on social media this week teasing a possible match with Roman Reigns at Summerslam in Detroit. This goes back to last month when the WWE deal with Endeavor and UFC was first announced. Paul Heyman really is the one who instigated this. He called Conor McGregor a Roman Reigns wannabe. And McGregor responded by saying that he would break Heyman's jaw in 3 places. Heyman gave an interview to Ariel Helwani, and he had this to say about Conor McGregor. He said, "I'm not a grandfather, but I appreciate the fact that I'm old enough to be one. Number one, and I am still thriving on top. I would like to see if Conor McGregor at 57 is still thriving at the very top of his entire industry. We'll see if he's even relevant at 57. We'll see if he even lives to 57 with his lifestyle now. Number 2. Number 3, it's not that he tweeted to me. I picked the fight with him. Let's be honest about this. He, as a Roman Reigns wannabe, did the Paul Heyman style, title on each shoulder and, gave a shout out to himself. Of course he did. The ultimate self-promoter in Conor McGregor, standing 9 feet tall and weighing 155 pounds at 5'4". So with that in mind, I said, look at Conor McGregor, a Roman Reigns wannabe. And of course, he said, oh, be careful, Grandpa, I'll break your jaw in 3 places. He's talking a good game, but he isn't coming after the wise man, and even if he did come after the wise man, what if I landed a lucky shot like the lucky shot he hit Aldo with? Jose Aldo clipped him and busted him open on a knockout punch that he threw. What if I had a lucky punch on Conor McGregor? What if I did? If he beats me up, who cares? I'm a 57-year-old wise man. I'm a Jew boy from the Bronx. This is a tough fight for Conor McGregor. I don't see him picking a fight with Roman Reigns, but then again, listen, little people do what little minds tell them to do. And that's okay because I like the little guy. He's funny to me, like a clown. He's here for my amusement. So this week, McGregor went on a tweeting binge, all of which has since been deleted, calling Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman wannabes, saying that there's only one champ because McGregor is the first fighter to ever hold 2 titles in the UFC at the same time. He said he's going to suplex Paul Heyman on sight when he sees him. And then he said, SummerSlam, I'll pull in on the yacht, Roman and Paul out the bus. Now, this is some fans wondering if there's already a deal in place to bring McGregor in to headline SummerSlam with Roman Reigns at Ford Field. It reads to me more like he wants to fight Paul Heyman than Roman Reigns. Book it. Book it. Have Heyman begging off the entire time until Brock Lesnar makes the save and it gives Conor an F5 and then they can segue into Lesnar against McGregor. There you go. I wouldn't mind seeing that. Conor McGregor and Roman Reigns, they are not wrestling at SummerSlam. You can never discount the possibility of it happening at all after, look, Roman wrestled Logan Paul in Saudi Arabia, right? And you got WWE and UFC merging soon under Endeavor. That's going to make synergy between the 2 companies a lot more likely. But I don't read this as anything more than just playful banter and Conor doing what Conor does best, which is talk shit. He has made a career out of it. He has made millions doing it. If it happens, it won't be at SummerSlam. It probably would more likely be in Saudi Arabia. SummerSlam should be Roman Reigns against Cody Rhodes. You want to do Roman Reigns and Conor McGregor as an attraction after Roman drops the titles? That's fine. But the championship should be reserved for your own talent. And that includes Dwayne Johnson, by the way. Not that I think that match is ever going to happen at this point, but if it ever did, it should not be for the championship because it doesn't have to be. It is a major attraction on its own. I got a follow-up to a story that I first talked about on the Sound Off, episode 784 last year, when I talked about WrestleMania possibly coming to Tennessee for the first time in 2027. There was talk at the time of the city getting a verbal commitment from WWE to host WrestleMania that year with the provision that their proposed new stadium be built within the next 5 years. And if that happened, then they would get WrestleMania. And they started talking after WWE ran Nissan Stadium in Nashville for SummerSlam. I guess that would have been, was that last year? God, was it last year? I think it was, right? Because they were in Vegas, I think, the year before. So I guess that would have been last year. So they started talking after that. And it was a proposal to build a $2 billion enclosed stadium that was to be voted on by the city council. Well, last month, the city council gave the final approval to the Tennessee Titans' plans to build that new stadium. And they plan to break ground next year and have it completed in 2027. It would have to be early in the year if they want to run WrestleMania there in April. I mean, that's cutting it a little close. The president and CEO of the Titans was on 104.5 radio, The Zone, on Friday afternoon. And in talking about this new stadium, he said, WrestleMania is not hypothetical. WrestleMania has already committed to 2027. And if everything goes according to plan, he says WrestleMania could be the first ever event held in that new stadium. It'd be just like Summerslam was the first event ever held in the United Center in Chicago back in '94. So that would be WrestleMania 43 in Music City if that happens. As I pointed out when I first talked about this, though, a verbal commitment is one thing. Something signed on paper is entirely different. The Minnesota Vikings were talking about their new $1 billion stadium, and they let it slip that WrestleMania was coming. Okay, that was 8 years ago. 8 years later, there still has never been a WrestleMania in Minnesota. So if you live in Nashville, if you want WrestleMania there's reason to be hopeful, but I would not believe anything until it's actually announced.